Tonight we're learning more about the shooter that opened fire on concert goers in Las Vegas from his hotel suite. I'm Stephanie Sanastasi.
And I'm Joshua. ABC's Danya Backus is standing by in Las Vegas to tell us more about what happened today, including a news conference about a half an hour ago. Let's go live to Las Vegas now.
Today, we are learning more about those 59 victims and the more than 500 people injured as investigators are giving us a first glimpse inside the shooter's hotel room. In the midst of chaos, there are stories of heroism and survival.
We went back towards the gunfire and just started looking for priority victims and people with the most serious injuries to get to the hospital.
Tuesday, many of the more than 500 people injured now reliving the terrifying moments. Police say 64-year-old Stephen Paddock sent a barrage of bullets into a crowd of 22,000 concert goers.
When I was running and when I was holding him and I was looking behind him, there were bodies like everywhere.
In Las Vegas, the grieving continues. Vigils being held across the city for the dozens of people killed in the rampage. Among them, Hannah Eilers, a mother of 3. 23-year-old Jordan McIldoon attending the country music concert with his girlfriend, and Navy veteran Christopher Roybal.
He went to combat and came back without being injured, and goes to a concert and dies.
We're also now getting a first glimpse inside the shooter's Mandalay Bay hotel room. Law enforcement and family members trying to understand what would motivate a one-time accountant and avid gambler with no known criminal record to inflict so much carnage.
Steve had nothing to do with any political organization, religious organization, no white supremacists, nothing.
Investigators say there were more than 40 guns recovered both in Paddock's Nevada home and his Mandalay Bay hotel room, and material used to make explosives were also discovered in his car. Also in that hotel room, cameras, authorities say, set up both inside and outside of that room, possibly used to record the horrific shooting and to monitor police activity. Authorities now telling ABC News they are looking closely at Paddock's finances. Danya Backus, ABC News, Las Vegas. Back to you.
And 25-year-old Jordan McIldoon was one of the at least 59 people killed in that attack. Heather Goose says she stayed with him as he died in her arms. She was working as a bartender at the festival.
I was there until about 3:30 in the morning, so for about 4 hours, I was sitting with him. I didn't want him to be there alone. There was another guy that was by us. His wife had been shot and killed, the mother of his 3 kids, and he never left her side. And I didn't want Jordan to not have somebody with him. I didn't want him to just be a no-named body. I knew who he was, and now I had an obligation to make sure that everybody knew who he was.
Jordan was at the concert with his girlfriend. She survived the shooting.
Chattanooga's rugby team played in a tournament in Vegas during the time of the shooting. According to the team's website, they're headed back to our area now. We're told they were not at the concert and everyone on the team is okay. We have reached out to some of the members of the team to hear about their experience. We're still waiting to hear back. A Georgia police officer shot and killed in Polk County, Georgia, was laid to rest today. People all over Georgia paid their respects by posting to social media and remembering Detective Kristen Hearn. You can see a long line of community members and police in the funeral procession. Detective Hearn was shot Friday. The district attorney is now seeking the death penalty against Seth Brandon Spangler and Samantha Roof, who are both charged with murder.
According to the Humane Society, about 70% of domestic violence victims say their abusers also target or threaten their pets.
That can make victims afraid to leave them behind in dangerous situations. News Channel 9's Alana LaFleur shows us what Chattanooga agencies do to help both victims and their animals.
Josh, Stephanie, McCamey Animal Center offers emergency boarding for pets of domestic violence victims while they figure out a place to stay after leaving abusive situations. The center says in some cases that can make the difference between life and death.
Come here, buddy.
Jazz works at the Family Justice Center. Ruben Moriente trains him as a therapy dog to help domestic violence survivors and their children.
What Jazz and Marty do basically is just bring them to a level where they can just feel open to opening up and discussing the issues that they might need to talk about.
Therapy dogs and other animals can have a big impact in the lives of those affected by domestic violence. In the last 3 months, the Partnership for Families, Children, and Adults says workers helped 4 people initially afraid to leave abusers because they didn't want to leave pets behind. McCamey Animal Center says that's why it offers temporary emergency boarding for pets of domestic violence victims.
It can mean the difference between leaving that household or staying in it, or worse yet, leaving that animal behind in that household to either be tortured, abandoned, or even killed.
Jamie McAloon is McCamey's executive director and says the center takes in animals for up to 10 days. The shelter doesn't have any pets in emergency boarding right now, but in the past year, workers sheltered dozens escaping domestic violence.
Animals are often the first tool used to control those family members. You control that animal, and the family members, especially children, will comply at the, for fear of that animal being, either gotten rid of or hurt.
McCamey is a partner agency with the Family Justice Center, working together to find solutions during the toughest times.
It's one less thing they've got to worry about when they've got so much to worry about. I mean, they're trying to figure out how they're going to shelter themselves and their children.
Yesterday, Chattanooga Mayor Andy Burke issued a proclamation officially making October Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the city. Stephanie.
Alana, thank you. To report domestic violence and abuse, you can call 911. You can also find a link on our website, NewsChannel9.com, for additional resources.
Tennessee's Education Commissioner Candace McQueen testified before the Senate Education Committee today. McQueen talked about new plans to hold Tennessee schools accountable under the Every Student Succeeds Act. This includes ensuring students get a well-rounded education.
We will identify focus schools based on how well each school serves English learners, students with disabilities, and economically disadvantaged students, as well as the individual performance of all 6 racial and ethnic groups present in Tennessee.
The ESSA ended federal rules on states to adopt Common Core standards.
3 fires broke out in Lookout Valley last month. Tonight, we have an update on 2 women who were pulled from those homes and taken to burn centers. 2 weeks ago, a fire broke out here on Judy's Lane. 1 woman inside taken to a hospital in Georgia. She's still there and is still seriously injured. Then 3 days later, a fire happened here on Centro Street in Lookout Valley. The woman inside was critically injured, but is now back home. CFD says both fires appear to be accidental.
In the days and weeks that follow the Las Vegas massacre, the debate over gun laws will intensify in Washington.
Calvin Sneed joins us with that and what else is coming up at 6. Calvin.
Stephanie, Josh, we talked to a gun store owner in Chattanooga today. He says he does typically see a spike in gun sales after mass shootings like Las Vegas. At 6, we'll tell you why he says it depends on who our commander-in-chief is. That also affects those sales. Plus,
officials say the Bradley County Courthouse will be closed until next year because of a fire. I'm Hannah Lawrence. Coming up, we'll tell you where you need to go for car registration and court.
Those stories and more coming up on News Channel 9 at 6. Josh, Stephanie, back to you.
Calvin Sneed, thank you, sir. Coming up in this show, taking the initiative and working towards excelling in schoolwork and athletics.
Later in the show, we'll show you 2 students that are able to make the plays and the grades.
And join us tomorrow night for the Your Voice, Your Future Town Hall, the patriotism protest, pro athletes versus the president. You can watch it on our website, newschannel9.com, starting at 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
And another gorgeous day locally, but where we're watching for our next big weather change could be far to our south. That dashed line is a surface trough in the Caribbean Sea. How that could impact our weekend right after the break.
Now, a live look here, Jasper Highlands, a gorgeous day, another gorgeous day. We had another one yesterday, another one today. This shot brought to you by CHI Memorial.
It really has been beautiful the past couple of days, and David's here standing by, going to tell us if it's going to stick around.
It will. It'll stick around through at least the end of the week. Temperatures gradually getting warmer, but it's the weekend we got to watch very carefully for our next big weather maker to start moving in. Till then, more of this. High today, 82, low 57, so just a tad above average, but still not too bad for early October. It was cooler than the 57 we had at Level Field, north and east. Cleveland at 50, but even cooler at Tuddico Plains and Murphy. Lafayette around 52, right around 60 in Fort Payne. But temperatures right now are a good bit warmer. Upper 70s, low 80s on average. And we'll see more of these low 80s sprouting up in the afternoons ahead, even mid 80s by the time we approach the upcoming weekend. Skies are clear today. I don't see that changing much as high pressure remains dominant off to the north and east. However, there are a lot of showers not far away over the middle and lower Mississippi Valley. But as close as they appear, they're not moving our way. This high is strong. It's going to deflect these off to the north and east, and we stay dry and gradually getting warmer. But by the end of the week and the weekend, we'll have to start watching what happens with this surface trough. A lot of rain developing over the southern Bahamas and Cuba, but it's mainly down here where a broad area of low pressure could start to form over the western Caribbean Sea, and many long-range models take this to the Yucatan and then into the Gulf. Now, there's a big difference of opinion where it goes with time, but this is something that could spell a wet scenario for us by the time the weekend rolls around. Until then, it's dry. We start tomorrow morning with a clear sky. Notice for the afternoon that east breeze comes more of a southeast breeze. That'll start warming those temperatures even more. But that rain that's right now to the west stays far to the north and west. And no change through Thursday either. Another sunny day, very warm, and that'll stick around also by the time Friday rolls around. So basically, it's just a temperature forecast in the days ahead. But again, that's the system we'll be watching as we approach the weekend. So as we head through the overnight hours tonight, temperatures through the evening down to the mid-60s. But then overnight down to the mid-50s on average. That means away from the city again, some low 50s and even upper 40s. So a light jacket early. You won't need them late. Temperatures low 80s by the afternoon. And just repeat this all over again on Thursday. No change. 50s early, plenty of sunshine, late day temperatures reaching the low 80s. And again, by Friday, mid 80s, and the humidity and the heat sticks around to start the upcoming weekend. But it's by that time we start watching our next big change, which could mean as early as late Saturday, some showers rolling in. And it's through Sunday and Monday, we'll have to watch for any tropical moisture rolling in. So a muggier pattern coming up, which could also mean some warmer mornings, more in the 60s through late weekend and early next week. But it does bring about some rain, which we've not had in about 2 weeks. And again, it'll either be just rain from an area of low pressure or rain from a potential tropical system in the Gulf. Either way, I think it's the same result locally.
Possible rain and possible, I saw some 7s in there.
Yeah.
Down in the 70s.
Yeah.
For some highs.
Well, it's because of rain.
Sure it is.
Not a blast of cool air yet.
But it's fall.
It is fall. It looks like fall.
It's a sign of the season, yes.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, thanks, David. We appreciate you. Right now, look at your afternoon traffic, your traffic tracker. You see both directions there on 24, eastbound and westbound slowdowns, but really on eastbound, big slowdown there. Also slowdown 75 and 153.
Let's take a look outside now. Your TDOT SmartWay camera. This is 24 at Cummins Highway. You'll see on the eastbound side there, looks like a little bit of a slowing down. You'll see there's 2 tractor trailers. It looks off to the side of the road there. Not sure what the slowdown is from at this time, but obviously people heading home from work right now.
All right, coming up, staying focused on the present while working toward the future.
Next, what 2 students have accomplished to better prepare them for the future.
High schoolers preparing for the future.
Tonight, we'll share with you 2 students excelling in both the classroom and their sport.
And this segment sponsored by the Tennessee Valley and North Georgia Chevy dealers.
John Madewell shows us this week's Scholar Athletes.
Every Friday before our Friday Night Rivals game of the week, we're highlighting an athlete from each side. Last week, it was Chattanooga Christian and Boyd Buchanan. Now, Chattanooga Christian's Seth Turney has a 3.75 GPA. He's on the football, wrestling, and track teams. Seth is number 72. You see him there on your screen coming into view right there. He has served on many mission trips and plans to attend Tennessee and major in physical therapy. Boyd Buchanan's Reagan Petway holds a 3.7 GPA. He's played football for 4 years and 2 years in soccer. Now, he is number 20, and he's attempting to get in on a tackle on this play you see upcoming. Now, he has volunteered for the Ronald McDonald House, and he plans to attend UTC. That's 2 young men performing well on the field and in the classroom.
These 2 students now have the chance to get a jump start on their college tuition. This is due to the $5,000 scholarship that will be awarded to one of the nominated athletes at the end of the Friday Night Rivals season.
And next at 5:30, the man police say is responsible for the Las Vegas attack, Stephen Paddock, had no criminal record.
Coming up, what society or law enforcement can do to prevent tragedies like the ones we witness all too often. As As we learn more about the Las Vegas shooter, the more frustrated investigators become. By all reports so far, there were virtually no red flags that Stephen Paddock was a threat or even a concern.
So how can they stop someone who doesn't fit the profile? Chief political correspondent Scott Thuman looks into that very real challenge.
Should law enforcement have known there was a chance Stephen Paddock would open fire, or better yet, could they have known? So far, almost nothing made public about him is considered a red flag.
He was kind of quirky, but a nice guy. That's just kind of rocked our world a little bit.
I mean, he's never even drawn his gun.
The 64-year-old one-time accountant with no reported criminal record baffles law enforcement. He was not on their radar and not known to be suffering from mental illness.
How do you stop the guy you don't suspect?
Former FBI agent and profiler Brad Garrett.
We were just coming up with zero as to anybody saying anything negative about this guy, that they saw him in a dark and stormy way. They had no clue that he had acquired that many weapons.
So is this the kind of thing that then keeps law enforcement around the country awake at night?
There's a huge issue with people that we have no clue that they are there, and they're not sending out what I would call overt warning signs that they're going to do something.
Just because Paddock doesn't fit the so-called mold of potential killers doesn't mean it can't happen again, that someone else isn't also currently flying under that same radar.
I mean, this is a guy that is at least socially sophisticated enough to sort of have this mask of sanity, that he's convinced the rest of us he's okay when obviously he's not.
Garrett says that's why it's critical, even if uncomfortable, for people to call police when they see someone else exhibit suspicious behavior, since law enforcement can't stop someone they don't know about. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
We want to talk about our question of the day now. That question is, do you feel like you know when to say something, as in see something, say something? Now, 69% say they would know. Now, 13% say they would not know. 18% not sure about this. We would like to hear from you on this question. Go to newschannel9.com/question to send in your answer.
Coming up in this show, the former Equifax CEO is at Capitol Hill to address the hack that released millions of Americans' personal information.
Coming up, what he says is the cause for the security breach.
This Wednesday on Good Morning Chattanooga, depend on us to have all the news that you need to know before you head out the door.
Plus, we're keeping an eye on the weekend forecast where it could get a little wet around here.
And of course, we'll have your exclusive traffic tracker, so start your day off with us starting at 4:30.
Equifax CEO is on the Capitol Hill hot seat over the company's massive security breach. Richard Smith apologized for the breach. He told the House Commerce Committee that human error and technology failures are to blame for what happened. Yesterday, Equifax said as many as 145.5 million people may have been impacted by the breach.
The criminal hack happened on my watch, and as CEO, I am ultimately responsible, and I take full responsibility.
Smith is scheduled to testify before 2 Senate committees tomorrow. Thursday, he'll testify before the House Financial Services Committee.
That's all the time we have for News Channel 9 at 5:30.
News Channel 9 at 6 starts next.